Hey folks, it's James, and it's day one of our new exciting series, the 12 Days of Procreate for Designers. And on day one, I'd like to ask you a question. Have you ever spent a ton of time carefully preparing plans, elevations, and maybe even a 3D model in an effort to win a new job or impress a new client? And it turned out after the fact that all you probably needed was a quick perspective sketch, something that, had you known, would have saved you a ton of time and worry. If that rings a bell, then get out your iPads, download the original Procreate file that comes with this lesson in the description below, and watch how Procreate can help you keep your design options open so you never waste time doing unnecessary work before you know you have the job. In today's example, I develop a perspective design sketch for a new cafe bistro for the famous restaurateur Danny Meyer, now open for business in the Manhattan West part of Manhattan. Oh, and there's nothing magic about the 7 phases. It's just a way to slow things down and really show you what's going on. In the first couple of phases, I'm trying to find one view that will tell the whole story and frame all future conversations about the project. In this case, I've just entered from the street. I'm standing close to the wall on the right, looking diagonally across the restaurant, with the exhibition food prep in the middle and the kitchen beyond. Next, I am loosely locating the important design elements that I want to be sure the client can see in the perspective sketch, according to where they would actually be when one looks across this space. In terms of brushes, I switch back and forth between the technical pen and the flat brush so that I don't waste time obsessing over any details at this point. Notice that I'm also putting in placeholder people with their eyes at the horizon level so that I can later base the scale and proportions of all the interior design elements off of those people. The key is to make sure you don't get too fussy with too much detail at this phase. You're just trying to keep things proportional and in scale to the people in the room and by extension the room itself. And yes, the eraser is just as useful as the brushes at this stage. Even though it looks like I have erased most of the drawing, I still have a light impression of the important elements of the composition, and this helps me see the design better in the absence of so many distracting lines. Now I'm going to use Perspective Drawing Assist to give a little more structure to the sketch, finding the vanishing point and drafting most of the line work over the fuzzy sketch lines. I've chosen to use 2 vanishing points to give it a more dynamic feeling and a more static straight-on view would give, and it takes some getting used to locate that second vanishing point. But just remember to keep that horizon line that connects the 2 vanishing points straight across the page. Once you've located your vanishing points, you have to remember to mark or engage Drawing Assist inside the Layer drop-down menu to the left of the layer. After doing so, you will see the small word Assisted below the layer title. This is one of the most fun phases of this drawing, and it sometimes looks like the sketch is actually completing itself. It's also the phase during which you will find yourself adding details to your fuzzy sketch blobs, because Perspective Drawing Assist makes it so easy and kind of fun to just add a line for drawers and toe kicks and details of your shelving and furniture and any other architectural design element that lends itself to being in perspective. With this strong structure now added to the sketch and all the big elements in place, I can now concentrate on adding the seating and details that bring the space alive and make it possible to imagine using the space and being inside the restaurant. Note that I'm still using a combination of the technical pen, the flat brush, and the eraser to help me visualize things and add things and take away things without getting too fussy over the details. Phase 5 is arguably my favorite phase because adding a sense of light and shadow with the technique I'm about to show you is so fast and easy in Procreate. It never fails to instantly take the drawing to the next level and focus the client's attention on the biggest ideas that you are trying to sell. In this case, the idea of the active and bright food prep area in the middle of the drawing behind these overhead shelves. Just remember that this silhouette layer needs to be on its own layer at the top of the layer stack with the blending mode changed to multiply so you can see all the details in the layers below, and so you can adjust the brightness of the shadow in the adjustments menu using the hue, saturation, and brightness sliders. Now it's time to switch to the technical pen and begin to make some placeholder doodles representing the final level of detail in the design, including the hanging light fixtures, the plants, and the details of the people I previously created as placeholder blobs. Remember, you don't have to draw the people or plants by yourself, but can instead use the people in the entourage templates and stencil brush libraries linked in the description below. In this final phase of the drawing, I use both Perspective Drawing Assist and my freehand scratchy line technique to add the final layer of detail over all the abstract shapes I've sketched in so far. Remember, I am deliberately drawing in an unfinished way, adding only enough impressionistic line work to create the general impression of the things I'm designing. The overall effect of the rendering is intentionally vague, focusing more on the feeling I hope someone will have in this space than on the specifics of the details inside the design. This deliberate ambiguity has so many advantages. It keeps the client engaged with the process, it keeps them happy with my progress, especially when they can watch it on video replay themselves. But most important of all, it allows me to keep my design options open and not waste time obsessing over details before their time, before the big organizational ideas I want to put in place are approved by the client. As just one example, notice how incredibly vague the sketch of the menu board is to the right of the entrance, compared to a photorealistic computer rendering. But they managed to create the impression of having a menu board here in just a couple of minutes of my time, versus all the work I would have had to do to create an acceptable version of a menu board as a photorealistic part of a computer rendering. And now it's time for that pro tip. To quickly transform what you might consider to be a half-finished sketch into a very finished-looking sketch, try using the Copy Canvas command in conjunction with the Multiply Layer Blend mode to instantly increase the contrast and richness of your sketch. Just copy the entire drawing in the Actions menu, then paste the drawing back on top of itself at the top of the layer stack, then activate Multiply Blend mode and adjust the hue, saturation, or brightness of the entire sketch by either dialing back the opacity of the layer or using the Adjustments menu to adjust the hue, saturation, or brightness of the sketch. To be honest, I probably do this with 75% of my work, but I assure you, you will get a real kick out of this too. And don't forget, you can download this original Procreate file in the description below, so you can study the layers and watch the video replay of this step-by-step process at your own pace. To see the next video in the series, click on this image you see here, and I will see you in the next lesson.